Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shaper Sessions. My name is Jake.
I'm Russ.
Today, we're doing 5 unexpected ways to use Shaper plate.
Yeah, our first clickbait title. But I think that these are truly unexpected. We've got 5 things that we've done maybe one of them, 2 of them on sessions before,
Yeah.
but not often. And we've got 3 more unexpected ways to use plate that are really off the wall. We're going to be making curved fences in 2 different directions so that we can locate on curved parts. Everybody always asks, can you use origin on a curved workpiece? And for example, today at the end of the show, we are going to inlay this nice little Daryl Peart green and green Suba piece into the front of this curved door. We're also going to be doing some System 32 shelf pin holes.
Yep.
Edge mortising. We're going to make another curved fence situation for the tripod stool. And what's the last one, Jake?
We are...
It's the circle probe.
Yeah, it is simply and beautifully a mobile tape field. Instead of putting down a couple of strips of tape, just use your plate.
Yeah, did you know that you can use plate without even doing the whole template thing? We're going to show you how that works, how to do it. It really simplifies some stuff. Before we get started, of course, for everybody who's new to the show, the Shaper Sessions are every other Thursday live stream where we teach you something about the Shaper system. This time we're going to be using Origin, Plate, and Studio for a little bit of digital design. There's a chat box going. Make sure you ask a bunch of questions because we do live Q&A at the end of the show. And that Q&A at the end of the show is also when we do a giveaway.
Yep. You got to answer that question, that poll question. It's going to pop up about halfway through the show in order to enter into a chance to win.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so we've got a lot of really interesting, crazy stuff to do today. This is an advanced show, so if you want basics of plate, how to set up some of this template stuff, we're actually going to refer you back to some other shows that we've done, but we wanted to roll a video that just highlights some of the things that plate can do. It's our universal template for Origin. Let's pull it up.
Let's do it.
We're just going to talk over this while it's going. Plate is the universal template for Origin. What that means is instead of doing the shaper tape thing where you are laying out the tape and scanning and gridding every single time you want to use Origin, you only need to do that setup once with plate. So we think of it literally as a template that you can, once you set it up that first time, can reuse again and again. It's great for hardware like these Lamello Cabanillos that you can see being installed. We're also going to install a big hinge like you saw at the beginning of this video. We do stuff like engravings with plate, corner rounding by locating with the side flags, and a lot of concealed hinges, frankly, with the fence. That's my favorite demo to use plate for.
Yeah, but the whole point of it really was to bring it back to the basics and start working off of our tried and true pencil marks again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of having to make a grid off of your piece, just put down a nice crisp pencil line and
measure, mark, and cut.
There you go.
That was good timing. It's like we've done this before. Okay, you're set up here already with this tripod stool blank. This is one of our favorite projects.
Yes. So this is the seat for the, is it called the tripod stool?
Tripod stool.
Or 3-legged tri-stool?
Tripod stool.
Tripod stool. Okay. On the Shaper Hub, tripod stool. Let's say you're making a batch of these and you are just taking this blank and taking a template to the router table. You're making a bunch of tops.
Mm-hmm.
But you want that level of precision that Origin has to offer for the joinery.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Great combo. So you could make a template, for example, for the outer dimensions of this top, take that to the router table, batch these out way faster, frankly, than you could with Origin. It's a great template machine. But then how are you going to do that joinery on something like a router table? This has a really interesting stepped mortise and tenon. Let's show that off. So we're going to use Origin with plate to make another sort of fixture that actually aligns to the curves of this tripod stool top and places those mortises in exactly the same place every time. So yes, here's that fixture. Let's show how that all fits together.
Yeah, let's hit the overhead. So we're going to be using these accessory rails along the side of plate a lot today. And basically what those are a alternating threaded and non-threaded holes every 25 millimeters all the way up both sides of plate. And these are really just to make your own fixtures like we have done today. And as long as you're doing all your math correctly, that is going to line up with our front fence and our side flags and reticle.
Yeah.
So what we've done here is we've taken the curve of our seat blank to help us easily register on the corner and cut that mortise.
Yes. So we'll cut one, we'll pick it back up, we'll rotate it, obviously, cut the next one, rotate again, cut the last one. What do you say we cut just one to start here?
Yeah.
Then we can hop over into Studio, and I want to show you guys how I designed this, of course. So we'll cut one, we'll design one, we'll come back here, and then we'll cut the other two.
All right.
So you're all set there, and the nice thing about this also is when we pull it up, by virtue of the way that this was designed, everything just lines up exactly how you expect. If you zoom out on that even, you will see the whole fixture setup with that tripod stool top on there. So we're just going to go ahead and cut this out.
Nice. I could feel it scooting around a little bit on me.
You want to add some tape or more tape to that?
More tape.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes after I've sanded something, because you sanded that before the show,
I did.
Right? Sometimes when I sand something, the middle gets a little depression under it. So it's good to have that tape by the edges too.
Oh, sorry, middle.
It's just sad, guys. It's seasonal, only in the winter.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Better.
Nice.
I have the 8mm bit going down to just shy of 1.25 inches. And I'm going to use auto pass.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of depth passes plus a finish pass at 0 inches.
Mm-hmm. This is a 2-step mortise, Jake. Which step are you going to do first?
I'm going to start with the deeper one, the one that goes all the way through,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back out for the shoulder.
Nice. All right. Got it.
All right. Never a bad idea to do a quick Z-touch. And here we go.
Mm-hmm. Now, the thing to note here is that even though we are cutting in the middle of plate's window, we're not using that reticle to align everything. We're using this fence that we built and relying on the fit between this fence and those locating dowel holes on the side of plate. And this is all based on a design that I put together in Studio earlier today. I'll walk you guys through how we build that, starting with a plate template and then adding the tripod stool design on top, combining those together to get this fixture that you can cut out and attach to your plate. You could do this with any kind of project. It doesn't have to be the tripod stool. Anything where you need to reference off of an edge that might not be perfectly straight, or something that you just want to move and do quicker than measuring, marking, and cutting. Let's say you don't want to have to measure every single time. You could even make a story stick of sorts that locates plate off of a corner at a distance that might not be reachable with just the side flags. Jake's taking a quick measurement break here. What are we looking at, Jake? Checking the depth on those, checking the depth on the first tenon. So we've got 2 steps on this, the shallower, wider step, and then the deeper step that goes all the way through. When you're cutting this with the 8mm router bit, we would recommend cutting the deeper mortise first and then the shallower mortise second. This project was actually designed back before we had that 8mm router bit in stock. This was designed just for the stock 1/4 inch router bit that comes with Origins in the US. And the reason for the step there is because the finishing edge on that 1/4 inch router bit is only 3/4 of an inch long. If you've got a short router bit, you can step those tenons so that you can get a nice finishing pass without creating any interference by cutting too deep.
All right, everything was cut to 0 inch offset, so I'm sure I'm going to have to take a little bit off of this, but I want to make sure.
That looked pretty good.
That looks really good, actually.
Let's leave it at that.
Perfect.
Love it. Okay, so we'll come back to this, cut the other two. Yeah, that looks good. It's just how you align it. But before we do that, let's walk through the design of this thing. So over here, I've got Shaper Hub pulled up, and this is going to be where we start for plate templates. So let's pop over to the computer here. Here we are, Shaper Hub. We've got projects here, but we also have templates for remixing things like workstation's front face or the body of plate, and we can find these in Studio Designs. If I look here for plate, let's look here. We've got the plate fixture creation kit. We've got one for workstation also. If I just search for fixture. Okay, plate fixture creation kit, workstation fixture creation kit, fixture creation for workstation will work similarly to plate, but we're going to work with plate today. Open this. I already have it synced to my files, but if you haven't, you want to make sure that this is synced, and then you can open it in Studio. Now, if we pop over to Studio here, we can see that I've got this already synced and open, and I simplified it a little bit. I removed some extra features like the side flags that we're not going to be using. What we're going to do is just place the mortise of that tripod stool somewhere in this area. I want to import that tripod stool from my files. Before I can do that, I also want to find that one on Shaper Hub. So back here, we can search for tripod. Here it is, tripod stool. And if you sync this to your files, you'll have access to all of these SVG files that you can also import, drop into Studio, and use to make fixtures or anything that you want. Something that would be a fun show to do would be maybe a router table fixture for these tripod stool legs, if you wanted to batch out the tripod stool legs.
Oh, that just gave me a throwback to when we did that.
You did a show on this?
Not a show, but when Workstation was released, I had to make like 12 of these stools.
That's a lot. So 12, that's 36 legs?
Yeah.
Let's do a show on that router fixture for these legs. That would be a lot of fun. Okay, so back to Studio here. Plate fixture, simplified. I'm going to leave this so that I can reuse it and duplicate this out. This is kind of the same train of thought as duplicating a plate template itself. And call this duplicate file plate tripod stool mortise. Nice. And this is the point at which we can import that tripod stool top from my files. Seat. Import. Nice. I am going to import this all exploded so that I have the ability to modify each of these paths separately if I want. Place all those. I don't want it right on top right now. I'm going to drag it off to the side just so I can do things like rotate it 100 degrees so that I can bring this mortise closer to this front fence. This is the side that I want to be locating off of. So I'm going to bring that side down over here by where that fence is. Let's rotate this 180 degrees. Nice. Then I can take this whole thing and drag it over on top. And I have grid alignment turned on here. Now, this is centered. The cool thing about this is that it doesn't matter if that mortise is exactly centered in plate's window, because I'm going to turn on my origin anchor. This whole file, including the file for the fence, is going to drop into the center of that plate window when this custom anchor is turned on. So no matter where this stuff all ends up, it's all going to be automatically perfectly aligned.
That's cool.
The custom anchor is in the same place relative to the location holes, is in the same place relative to the mortise. So it's all going to be gravy. One thing that I do want to make sure of, though, when I set this up, something that I was careful to do, is thinking about this shape. Here we go, this shape. This shape's important because this represents the foam that's on the bottom of every plate, that grippy surface. And I want to make sure that this thing isn't tippy. So when I look at this, I've got foam under this edge of the tripod stool all the way around up here. There's so much up here, it's so easy. But if I moved this north too much, I would have a big open space under here. And I don't want to introduce any doubt of tippiness. I want to make sure that everything is nice and supported. Just a little bit does it. Okay, so I've got my mortise where I want it. Now here's the part where we build the fixture. We're just going to add a rectangular block of plywood. It's not plywood in the computer, but it's going to be plywood in real life. And just subtract all the things that I want cut away from it to make this fence. I think 14.5 inches is about what I did. Yeah. It's not exactly the width of plate. It's a little bit wider, but that's okay. What happens if we call this 5 inches tall? That looks pretty good. We could even make this a little taller. I want to keep this bottom edge where it is. Let's go ahead and make this. What happens if it is 6? That looks pretty nice. What do you think, Jake?
Yep.
Okay. Now I need to add some locating holes. But, oh, wait, hey, they're already in here. So they're already built into this plate fixture. All this stuff is good to go. Now what I want, I've got this piece of plywood. I want to subtract out everything that I'm cutting away from it. This is a really busy screen here, okay? But what I'm going to do is do some shape shifting. So if I go ahead and drag to select all this stuff, I'm going to hit shapeshifter here. Okay. Now, what do I want to keep? I want to keep this stuff that turns this into a fixture. I'm going to keep just 2 of these holes, one for locating and one for a bolt. Ooh, want to keep that. I think I did this on the other side. There we go. That matches. Double check me on this one, Jake. Does that look pretty good?
You have one in the center.
I have one in the center.
Yeah.
What's in the center?
Just one screw.
I have one screw in the center? That's this one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's this
It might
one.
be that one.
The smaller ones are the screw holes. The bigger ones are the dowel holes. So these are going to be the dowels. These are going to be the screws.
There you go.
Okay, great. I do want to keep existing shapes because remember, I want to keep this mortise in here. Make that shape. Now, while that's selected, I can just take this and drag it off to the side.
So cool.
There's my fixture. This is my plate setup. So I'm going to leave all this as it is because when I attach this to plate and line it all up, as long as I locate this in the center of plate's window, then that mortise is going to be in the right place. Now, there's one thing that I can do to simplify here. This I want to keep because this is the file that I want for plate, but when I'm cutting this out, I don't want this gunking up my works. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this whole studio workspace again. Plate, tripod, stool, mortise, fixture. This is getting lengthy. Okay, and this is the file that I'm going to use for cutting out that fixture, so I'm just going to highlight everything else and delete it. Here's my fixture. And take this. Can make it nice and centered. I would take this over to workstation or a flat sheet of plywood or something. Zip it out. And voila, here we are on the show with a fixture.
That was... Sounds like I'm just saying this, but that felt very intuitive.
Yeah, I think so. You just kind of lay everything on top of itself and take away the things that you need to align it. So we've got the curve here for the tripod stool itself, and then we've got just a couple of locating features. We've got the screw, and the dowel hole that I cut doesn't go all the way through, but that dowel is on the other side of this fixture here, aligning it to plate.
Speaking of that dowel, looks like you're using these really neat little steel pins.
Yeah, steel dowel pin.
Yeah. Did you get that on McMaster?
I did. I would recommend not using wood because it's kind of mushy, but a plastic or steel dowel is going to work just fine. 5 millimeter dowel pins. And the thing to be wary of is make sure that stuff doesn't stick up too high above plate surface. So you'll notice once this is all put together that it's all below the plane of the tape field, just so that nothing gets hung up. Feel good?
Feels great.
Let's go through the process of just dropping that on to a fresh plate template.
Yeah. All right.
And don't use the one that I just made because it's going to be a little different from the one that you have right now.
All right. Good practices whenever you're creating a new workspace in plate is to go to your template and duplicate it. That'll come up as copy. We're going to call this tripod fixture.
Nice. Now, what does that look like when we go into that workspace? Just that fresh copied workspace.
Nothing on it, but a center grid.
Mm-hmm. And if you remember, going back to Studio, that custom anchor point is dropped right on the center of that window. So the center grid is all that we need to align this mortise to the fixture.
So we're not going to use
not the newest one. Use the older one.
Which is
the one on the left there.
simplified, or
yeah, the one with all the stuff on it.
All the stuff.
Yeah. Okay. No matter how much stuff is on there, that custom anchor is going to snap that right to the center of the window. You can see all the template stuff is lining up. Plate looks like it's in the right place. The tripod stool looks like it's in the right place. I think we're ready to cut 2 more mortises.
That's awesome. All right. First step is 1.23. I'm going to do that in 5 passes to a 0-inch offset. Here we go.
Nice. Cool thing about AutoPass, this makes it super easy. AutoPass automatically calculates safe depth steps for you and includes a little roughing pass and finish pass offset and transitions between the 2 of those automatically so that you get the best quality cut results and so that you don't spend a bunch of time punching in a bunch of different depth numbers and offset numbers, etc. Highly recommend giving it a try. Everybody's got a free AutoPass trial. And this tripod stool would be a great place to give that a shot. So check that out under the extensions tab in your settings on your Origin. Remember, your settings menu is the little gear at the upper right corner of the screen. Nice, Jake. Very smooth. What do you think? Should we even check the fit on that one?
Yeah,
I
why
think
not?
Should fit exactly the same as the last one. We always recommend doing your fit check on the very first piece. And then that digital precision is going to keep that fit exactly the same for every part. We've got 2 mortises. Now, as easy as flipping this around one more time. Lining that last one up, placing it back down. One thing I maybe could have done when I was designing this fixture is make it a little easier to see what's going on with the alignment on this. Because look at this. This is what's going on. This is why we have to flip it upside down every time. Is because you can't see the way that the edge is aligned to the fixture. It's all hidden under that surface.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to think about.
Cool.
Let's zip it out.
I found a comfortable and efficient way to cut this center mortise. Instead of just pushing forward and back, I'm actually pivoting on my left arm.
I love the pivot.
Because it feels like this arm is super grounded.
It's totally locked in.
And I'm just doing like that. It's okay if Origin turns a little bit during that cut. It's still going to be straight. Yeah. 1.23, rocking the 8mm, speed 5. Just so everyone can see, I like to bump my auto speed up to 15. Here we go.
So we did breeze through some of that plate setup stuff. I'm talking about the part where that center grid is actually created. Ted's got some links on how to do that. We've got a bunch of previous sessions where we show that stuff off. Definitely recommend you checking that out after this show, of course. Stick around and hang out with us today. But after you watch this one, if you're curious about how to set this stuff up in the first place so that you can do these more in-depth applications, definitely check out some of those links. You can also find that at shapertools.com/sessions.
Voila.
Voila. All right, Jake, we better speed it up, man, because we're 25 minutes in and we're one application down out of 5.
Really?
We got a couple fast ones coming up here. The next one that we want to talk about is System 32 or shelf pin holes with plate. You know that plate is really good for plopping down little features like a small row of shelf pin holes. But did you know that this little pin that's included with every plate, we call it the Sys32 pin, is great for lengthening those rows of holes. The spacing is such that you can drop this pin into the previous set of holes that you did and just go ahead and continue that along up the edge. So we're going to show you guys how to do that. I think we could set this to the side. We're done with that one.
Cool.
And I grabbed you a pin. It should be in the MFT over here.
Yes, got that.
Nice.
Got my plywood.
This is just our fake cabinet, slim piece of plywood.
And I grabbed another piece of 1/2 inch just to put in front of, to help support plate.
Yeah, nice. Plate comes with these little leveling feet that help support it, but a piece of plywood that's the same thickness is the easiest way to do it, frankly.
Yeah. All right, we're going to use that front fence. Start off there.
Nice. And do we have a System 32 workspace set up already?
We're going to make one real quick.
Okay, sweet.
Back into workspaces. Duplicate that template. Whoops.
This is the magic of that blank template.
Duplicate. Where are you, copy? There you are. All right. Sys 32.
All right, now what's the design look like for these, Jake?
We're going to go off of a 5mm hole. There we go. 5mm hole.
Uh-huh.
And position at 50 minus 13. There we go. There it is. No.
No, it's 37 millimeters from the front fence. So it's, think about it this way, minus 50 to get it at the front fence, plus 37, minus 13. Minus 50 plus 37.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're there, everybody. It's almost Friday.
Yep. All right, for this first one, we're just going to go right in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to copy and position 32 millimeters over in the X direction.
Nice.
Same thing. Plus 32. Place. You can get a total of 5 in the window. So that's what I'm going to do.
Did you know, Jake, that you can get a total of 7?
Can you?
Yeah, because you can cut in the slots on the side.
Technically, it is. Should we try that?
Yeah, we should do it.
Okay. All right, copy, position. Oops. All right, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
And one last, or 2 more.
See how that lands right in that slot? This is how that patterning works. So your last hole is going to end up in this slot. Then you put the pin in it, you put plate on that, and everything just carries over to the next set of pins.
Sweet. All right, I'm going to swap out for the 8mm bit.
The 1/8 inch bit?
Sorry, 1/8 inch. Or I could use the 4mm.
Yeah, as long as it's smaller than 5 millimeters, I think we're going to be good.
Actually, I think I'm going to use that one.
Yeah, you like the 4 mil?
Yeah.
That's a 6 mil.
Yep.
We can't use the 6 mil. Oh,
No,
you've got a 4 mil. Okay, nice. We're just working on our numbers today, everybody.
Math is hard
Can't
when you're
keep up.
not on live.
What's bigger, 4 or 6?
I don't know. There we go. I do love the extended reach of that 4mm.
Mm-hmm. And I think we should go ahead and crank our speeds on this one.
Exactly.
Because Origin can drill these holes so quickly. In Helix mode, you're just holding the router still, and it's zipping them out.
Dang it.
A little too much length on that.
A little too much length.
Great.
All right, for that speeds, we're going to bump the auto. Oh, it's in millimeters still.
Bump it up.
Let's do 650.
Sure. And we want to turn auto pass off for these and helix them.
Exactly. Helix on. Let's let it rip.
And hang on. So what that helix mode is going to do is allow Origin to just zip straight down to the bottom of these holes in a literal helix pattern without taking the steps that AutoPass would. You don't need to do several steps for a hole. You can just go ahead and helix right down to that bottom diameter and dimension. This works anytime that entire toolpath fits inside Origin's corrective range. So with these small holes, it obviously works really well. Bigger holes that you come up to, those will work definitely, especially bigger holes using larger router bits. With the larger router bits, you can actually reach beyond that corrective range because the toolpath is in the corrective range, that dotted line that you're following, but the edge that's being cut then can be even farther out.
Sweet.
Okay,
There's our first set.
we're moving over.
Deploy our fence. Grab our Sys32 pin and drop it in there to line us up.
All right, we're registered. Pretty fast way to do these, and if you're doing a lot of these, you could use this to make your template for starters. You know, there are some really great following drill bits that do this really quickly, but you do need a pattern to start with. So we could use Origin to make that template, or if you're just doing a one-off cabinet, then go ahead and pull out plate and Origin and zip out your Sys32 holes this way. This is great for not only shelf pins, but also certain types of mounting brackets for European cup hinges, the cabinet side of those. There you go.
Nice.
Looks great. Okay, so super heady curved fence fixture to start with. Little lighter weight application next, but some kind of heady math in that one.
Great.
Yeah. Well, it's behind us.
Yeah.
We're gonna show our shop tour now, do our poll question, all this stuff, and then when we come back, we're gonna do edge mortising adapter. We're gonna do circle probing, and then I think showpiece of this show,
Yeah.
the cutting on a curved surface with Origin. So let's pull up the poll question. Again, this is for that giveaway that we're doing at the end of the show. The question is just, what router bits do you want us to work on adding to the Shaper store this year? It's the beginning of the year. We're starting to work on this stuff. Let us know what you want. We aim to please.
Yep.
And no announcements today. So let's go ahead and roll the shop tour. This one is from Steve in the UK, actually, and he's got a sweet truck. So
I'm excited.
let's roll that.
Good morning, I'm Steve and I live in the Cotswolds in England, and here is my workshop. Recently built it as an addition to the garage. It's 5 by 5 meters. I'm got a Laguna belt sander, table saw with sleds, clamp wall, planer jointer, dust extraction, compressor, airline, bandsaw, router table, using an Incra motor, built it myself, put drawers in it to hold all the bits, the shaper plate, the pillar drill, more dust extraction, air purifying, other sanding tools, drills, screws, glues, Forstner bits, clamps, the mitre station. All the cabinets are built myself as well. These are from a red cord MDF. Just give it a bit of a fun look. Recently added a monitor in here so I can watch YouTube, shaper sessions and the like. We come back round to the bench. The bench was built, nice big sturdy one, all out of ply, maple ply. The shaper project is on the go at the moment. The mid-century modern lounge chair should be glued up later on today. The shaper workstation just bolts into the MFT dog holes so I can take it in, take it out, work on it. And this is about it. It's a small shop, serves the needs very well, good lighting, nice view out onto the fields. Hope you enjoyed the small tour of an English workshop.
Super sweet.
Super cool.
Love the truck for sure.
Could you tell what kind of truck it was?
Datsun, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, that workshop lighting, very clean.
Yeah.
Thanks for sending us that. We'll send you something nice.
Yeah, and if you would like something nice, send us your shop tour to sessions@shapertools.com. 3 minutes or so, landscape orientation, narrated, preferably. Doesn't have to be a big shop, doesn't have to be a clean shop. We just love seeing your shop.
Yeah.
We
Please.
learn something every time. And while that was running, it lets us set up for the next thing. So we're going to roll back into it. We have a big piece of wood here. We're going to mortise a door hinge into it. What did I do with that guy? Here it is. This is a Simonswork Tectus TE240. Imagine a sauce hinge, but like mega size. Let's show this off on the camera over here. Look at this big old hinge. These are great. They're 3-way adjustable, but you really want the fit of this to be nice and clean. So we're going to go ahead and cut that with Origin. But I wanted to mention that not only is this setup great for doing these big hinges, not everybody's doing these interior doors with these fancy, huge hinges. It's also great just for big mortises, for things like a bed or a sofa. Anything where you're going to have a really long rail and a really big mortise that you're trying to join together. So think about what you can do with a big mortise.
Talk amongst yourselves for just a moment because I got to flip these clamps.
Mm.
Because we are doing a big hinge.
Running into the edges. Okay, nice. While you're doing that, the first step always when you're working with hardware is to check out the Shaper Hub hardware catalog. So that's over here on the laptop. On Shaper Hub, of course, you're going to go to hub.shapertools.com. Why don't we pull this up, Goose? Here we go. Of course, we've got a whole host of brands on here. If we scroll down to find Simonswork, we can check this out. Here's that TE240 right at the top. This is actually the smallest hinge that they make. That's crazy. We can sync this to my files, and then when Jake pulls this up on Origin, he'll be able to drop this door hinge mortise into one of those blank plate templates that we've been using. That looks great.
There we go. A little more real estate.
All right, what are we doing? New plate template?
Yep. We are renaming a copy to the Tectus 240.
TE240. TE240 3D.
Okay. are.
Beautiful. Nothing in it, so we need a hinge template.
There it is, the top of my list. And we want it to be
Let's do the door side.
door side. It's got that baked in back set, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we are centered on the 0, 0.
Perfect. I like using the edge mortising adapter aligned with the center of plate's window and then putting the hinge in front of that. I think that's the best balance of open space. The window's a little wider at the top and also support.
Let's head back over to my 8mm cutter. And touch off. Think we need a pocket? Could we just go straight to an inside?
Let's check the preview. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Great.
That'll be fine.
Throw a roughing pass on that. That'll take care of that.
Do 1mm. That looks good.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah, nice thing about that gray area there is you get to preview what you're going to cut before you do it. So love that. Just make sure that you set that router bit diameter first, and you'll be able to see what you're about to cut away before you actually go ahead and do it. Really good for making sure that you clear out the inside of pockets all the way like Jake's doing right now. It's also great for making sure that you don't accidentally cut into a part that's next to the part that you're working on, in case you have a bunch of things nested in a sheet of plywood, for example, or if you have two tenons next to each other. That gray area is going to let you see if that overlaps with any of your other designs. If it does, you're going to want to change your approach. Maybe start with a smaller diameter router bit so that you have more clearance. Again, we're using auto pass for this, so Jake's just transitioning into that finish pass here. And he's taking off that last millimeter. We do a roughing pass and then a finishing pass so that you take the heavy material a little bit away from the edge of your template. And when you're cutting right up to the edge of the template, you're not removing so much, so you get more control, finer control, and better results. Second step on this, whenever you're doing a multi-depth mortise, I like to think about when I'm going to start engaging with the work as I'm dropping down. So you'll notice that first step, Jake actually wasn't hardly at all cutting into the material. You are going to feel a pretty big change then between the first and second passes with auto pass, because you're going from cutting barely anything to cutting a full depth worth. Auto pass ramps down between steps, so it helps smooth that out a little bit, but you are also going to feel it, so something to be aware of in advance. And again, that finishing pass. More important than anything else on the finishing pass to make sure that you're moving nice and smooth. It doesn't matter if you're perfectly centered. You do want to make sure that you stay smooth. Origin will keep up with you as fast as you want to go, but no use going so fast if it's a choppy fast. You want it to be a nice, smooth fast, if so.
There we go.
Nice. I think we're looking at this side. That side?
That's it.
Hmm.
Oh, piston fit.
There we go. Great.
Fantastic.
Can't complain about that. Okay, on to the next. This one we've done before. I don't think we need to talk about this too much. We have a whole show on this. The surprise, the unexpected thing here is just that we think about plate as being such a flat thing. You can also use it vertically. Good to have a reminder. But we have a whole show on the edge mortising adapter from when it was launched. So
Yes.
go ahead and check that out. Ted has a link for that in the Q&A.
We
Should
use it
we-
for a lot of mortises too. Instead of just, not just hardware, but mortises at the end of really long things.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen plenty of pictures of people doing workstation on top of ladders, but you could also do this.
Yeah. Also for aligning to maybe cases in a weird way. So we use it when we've done the Celiche air hinge.
Yes,
Also.
definitely.
Cool. So next one that we've got for you is enlarging a hole using circle probing plus plate. And this is the one application we're actually not going to be using plate as a template. We're just going to be using it as a tape field. We're not going to worry about the grid that we made at all, placing a design at all. We're just doing this as, let's say, the fastest way to get origin cutting.
Hold that for me.
Got it. We need that spoil board. Got a lot going on for this show.
You're telling me. And pre-existing hole.
Nice. Great.
As long as it can fit inside of that plate window, doesn't matter how you
There
put
it
it
is.
down.
Why don't we put it down like way crazy off? Yeah, nice. Well, it's still centered.
Ah,
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah, you don't
go.
have to be precious about it.
just do a
We
scan.
we could just use the template still because it's
could.
already scanned in. You don't even need to scan it.
That
you
is
can just
true.
copy the scan. I don't know what's faster, making a new scan
I think
or
making a new scan.
okay, let's do it the fastest way because we're not gridding for this one. Yeah, just a quick scan.
Create, probe circle.
And what we're doing here is using plate just as a tape field so you don't have to put down that domino tape that we usually use on big war surfaces to do something like this. I can't think of a good way where you would actually align plate to this circle kind of in the traditional plate way. You know what I mean?
No, you really couldn't. I can see my bit.
So I think this is going to look a little bit off also because there's some depth of field at play here.
Yes, so I'm going to trust that grid
Mm-hmm.
more than anything.
I think that we should cut a little shelf so that people can see how aligned it is to the original hole.
All right.
You still trust your router bit grid, or should we do a actual engraving bit grid?
That's what I get for trying to be quick.
The best way to probe for a grid is to use a solid shank. And sometimes when we're at the end of a long show because it's already 55 minutes in, we try to speed things up by gridding off of a router bit itself. But it's dangerous because if you grid off the edge of the router bit, then you're golden. But if you grid between the edges of the router bit, then you're going to hit a low spot and your probe is going to be off. So if we use the engraving bit for this, I'm going to trust that way more.
All right. 1, 2. Make sure I change my edge.
Mm-hmm.
3.
But it is important to say that note that this doesn't match the image that we see. That's okay. That's totally expected. That's because especially there's some height difference there. We always trust the grid more than the camera image because it's trying to optimize it for the plane of that domino field. I I think we should go ahead and route just a shoulder into this, just to see how well aligned everything is.
Do an outside cut. Quarter-inch depth.
That is very nice.
Nice little shoulder.
Well aligned. Love that. So there you go. Fast way to use plate. Jake, are you ready for the most stressful moment of your week?
Honestly, I've been trying to prepare myself for this entire show for this moment.
This is my precious curved cabinet door that we used when we launched, I think, Origin Gen 2.
Yeah.
I think this was the project that brought everything together for Origin Gen 2 and the shaper system. We got some box joints on here. We've got some hardware on here. We've got those shelf pin holes. And we are going to cut an inlay for a little window. A little window that's got one of these green and green Suba elements. But it's a curved panel. And we get a lot of questions on how do you cut on a curved surface with Origin. And I think plate is the answer. So I'll hand this to you. I could go ahead and pop plate onto these fixtures. What do you think?
That would be lovely.
Okay. A little preview. These are going to nest on here. Just like that.
I like they have little edge stops too.
Mm-hmm. And, okay, so before we used a socket head cap screw and a dowel pin to locate from the underside. But this is really tall, and I didn't want to counterbore all the way down through this. That's a really long hole to drill. So all we're doing here is we're just using number 4 wood screws. And I've found the head diameter of the number 4 wood screw fits just perfectly in the small little countersink that is on the edges of these dowel holes. So I've got a nice pilot hole drilled in each one of these to help line it up. It might not be perfectly centered to the 1,000th of the inch like the dowel holes are, but I bet it's centered to better than 100th. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So I've got plate here. Let's line this up. I want one at the base and one kind of toward the head. The foot and the head.
Now, Russ has spent a lot of time making this beautiful curved door, and I promised him if I messed up, I would have to remake it for him.
It's going to take you at least 15 minutes.
So we're not going to mess up.
One thing that's interesting about this method of approaching, or not approaching, but attaching things to plate, is that there is a little bit of unsupported area, or a step, I should say, between the side rails and that sticky pad, the kind of track saw base material that keeps plate in place. And one thing that I didn't do for this fixture was account for that difference in thickness. Something like the edge mortising adapter does account for that thickness, but because this hasn't accounted for it, it actually wants to put a little bit of a bow into these fixtures, so I'm taking care to not tighten them too much.
Just got two finger tighten.
2 finger tighten. When you tighten them too much, it kind of splays the feet out so it doesn't locate to the sides quite as well. And what Jake's doing here is he's just using some double-sided tape on the flat faces of this door to help stick it down to our workbench and keep it in place. We're going to put a little bit of tape on these curved fixtures to hold everything in place. And we could even throw some clamps on this just to be extra certain that nothing moves. Okay, and you can see these screw holes are nice and flush now. Before I throw tape on these fixtures, could you tell me if I over-tighten these so those legs are kicking out, or if it feels pretty stable side to side?
Maybe a little too much here.
Loosen it up just a little bit.
This top one's good.
Okay. Just a little bit there.
And for this one, I'm going to use the 6mm long reach bit. Nice and sharp. And we put some blue tape down just to make sure we don't get any
No
fuzz.
And I designed this so that if you look at it this way, it's actually not curved all the way across. This is just a series of angles, flat space with clearance up here, angles on the sides, kind of like a V-block philosophy. Oh yeah, that's nice, Goose. Thanks, man. So we've got these wings on the side here that are going to help keep things in place laterally. And then we've just got a point of contact here and here, which is going to support this and keep this level. You don't need contact all the way along the curve. In fact, it can be detrimental if it doesn't line up exactly the way that you expect it to.
I'll do that if you want to find the Suba inlay. And we got to sync it to our Shaper Hub.
Okay, good one. Okay, back to Shaper Hub. This is nice because all this stuff is designed for you already. Daryl Peart put together his green and green cookbook. If we just search for green, it comes up right at the top here. So you can see some great stuff that's in here. We've got these edge splines. We've got some really nice box joints. We've got a drawer pull, a stepped drawer pull that we've done a whole show on. And then you can see this Suba inlay here on the top of this little corner of a table. We're going to sync this to my files. And this is the same file that Jake used to cut out the positive earlier. So everything's going to be one-to-one on that. And I want the center of the window, to line up with that pencil mark.
Bingo.
Nice. Looks good. What do you think about throwing some clamps like there?
Why not?
Just for safety's sake. And as long as you clamp on top of this little fixture that you've made, it's all gonna stay in place. Did we go a little too high on the...
Could go there.
Yeah, you could go there. Gently.
Nice.
Yeah. How's it feel?
Solid.
Cool.
Okay. Looking good. Let's do it.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. All right.
All right. So that file from Shaper Hub is now synced straight to Origin. So Jake can go ahead and pull it up here in the Import tab after duplicating, again, that template workspace. We're all about this template workspace.
Suba. There it is, Green Green Cookbook. And I've already cut the inlay portion, so we are cutting the socket.
Mm-hmm.
Centered at 0, 0.
Yeah, I think we want to rotate that.
We do want to rotate
we want
that.
it tall ways. Oh, I hope it fits. You think you've got clearance to the reticle there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we're golden.
Okay, shaking it out here.
6 millimeters. The Z-touch is tricky. I want to get the kind of highest point of the curve. So right in the center of the window.
And how are you going to approach this? Are you going to pocket out the whole thing? I bet you could do an inside cut on that inside pocket with a nice big offset to punch through. Yeah.
How much would you like to be exposed at the tallest bit? 16?
I can always bring it down. Well, I'm going to need to curve it to match the door.
Yeah.
So I would say a 1/4 inch. I don't think this has to go in that deep.
Okay. So
we're going to do the middle part all the way through.
Yep.
And then we'll do the step. Let's start with the step just a 1/4 inch deep from the top.
Okay.
And see how that looks.
All right.
What? You think it should be deeper?
What do you think? To punch through that?
Uh-huh.
About a 1/2 inch?
It's a little
3/4?
over a 1/2 inch thick, so I think 3/4 with the curve.
There we go. All right, let's boogie.
Okay.
I'm going to bump this up to 0.3. 0.03.
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady indeed.
Do we still have those speeds yoinked from the helixing?
No.
Okay,
Brought it back
nice.
to 15.
Good. Always check your speeds, everybody.
Spindle speed set to 5. We're on the 6 millimeter long reach bit. Wish me luck.
Good luck. This might be our most frequently asked question. Can you cut on a curve with origin? Today, we give you an answer. Cool thing about this Suba inlay is that it's got this really nice shape to it. But it doesn't look too digital at the end of the day either. It's tastefully curved, but it doesn't have any of those, rounded corners like you would want to chisel out with a dovetail, for example. Pretty nice. Being really careful to follow the line here, of course. Again, Origin doesn't mind so much whether you're right in the middle of that corrective range, right on top of the crosshairs. I think it's one of the safer places to be, because it means that you are less likely to accidentally just brush the edge of that corrective range and retract. But the autocorrect works exactly the same no matter where you are. Just as long as you don't hit the edge of that corrective range, in which case you're going to go ahead and retract. And, Origin's going to save your work, of course. That's the whole point. But you don't want to have to stop and start again. You want to just keep going nice and smooth. Here we are on that finishing pass, nice and smooth. And the inside of this is going to match the inside of the Suba inlay that Jake already cut. I feel like a real Tom Sawyer today. Jake, wouldn't it be so fun for you to finish my door?
All right, I didn't breathe that entire time.
How you doing?
Doing
it
great.
Looks great.
And it popped out perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
I found a domino,
Oh, okay. Wow.
but that's okay.
How deep is it?
What do you mean?
Well, this is only going to go part way in.
Mm,
We should cover that whole domino. You think we can cover that whole domino?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Oh, that's what I get. Okay.
Maybe though.
Yeah, you think so? But a quick measurement.
Yeah. If we went down. No,
No.
not with that. Because that's 1/2 inch thick. And the bottom of the domino is at 0.51.
Okay, Jake. I've got an idea.
Okay.
Let's drop this all the way in. I'm going to need to make another one of these that's thicker. It's not going to have the step. I think that's actually better because I don't want to see a step inside the window as I'm looking into the cabinet. I just want a nice uninterrupted window all the way through.
Okay.
So I'll glue this in. I will make sure that the top is curved to match the front surface of the door. I'll make sure that the back is flush to the back surface of the door. And then we'll have our little inlay.
So we're just doing
And it'll cover the domino.
the outside shape all the way through.
We're doing the outside shape all the way through.
Wonderful. Let's do it.
Sorry for the plot twist, buddy.
That is okay. Settings are all going to be the same. Running with auto pass. And let's do it.
Okay. So, same as before, just following this line all the way around. And I really want to cover up that domino in there, so we'll go ahead and make a thicker inlay piece, but I do want to show you guys today the fit between the two of these and just that you can cut on a round surface with origin. I can feel like you can just hear it letting go. I don't know if that's coming through the mics at all, but you can feel that shallow little cut. That's cool.
That's a pretty neat little thing.
Yeah, that's a really neat little thing.
Test fit?
What do you think? Test fit? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can see the dominoes in there. Oh, yeah.
I'd say that's pretty
That's
solid.
pretty good. Cool.
There you go.
There you have it, everybody. Deep breath. It's always stressful doing the last cut on something that you've spent probably 20 or 30 hours on,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Yeah.
But, I'll tell you what, it felt completely stable. This was a really awesome fixture.
Yeah.
Side to side, it was awesome.
Great. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We're about to roll into the question and answer and the giveaway. It's been a long one, so thanks for hanging on with us.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, make sure that you join us next time for a live shaper session because the anxiety just comes through so much better when it's live, I think.
Yes.
So, we'll see you there. Thank you.